Okay, there we go. Now, wait. OBS, excuse me, English, is actually cooperating. Okay. So, I don't really remember exactly where I was last time. I mean, I know episode 4, that much is really obvious. Looks like I'm still in the intro. I don't think we ever got through, like, the Angie segment, which is notoriously kind of long. Or at least every time I watched the anime, I remember it being really, really long. Okay. So, let's see. Thankfully, there is a backlog. Alright, so Angie is reading Maria's diary and learning about Beatrice, I guess. The power Maria has, but you do not. Yeah, the power I have, but Angie doesn't. It's magic. Maria and Beato said it together, and then they started giggling because they said it at the same time. It was an innocent reaction, one that didn't seem like Beato at all. Do let me know if the volume's off since it's been a while, but it should theoretically be pretty good. Black tea was arranged on a table in a peaceful garden, and Beato, Maria, and Sakataro, who was sitting in Maria's lap, were having fun chatting. Reminder, Sakataro is like Maria's new plush lion doll that Rosa made. Oh, I see, he's called Sakataro. So this is your best friend. Uryu, nice to meet you, I'm Sakataro. Ooh, Sakataro's shy, so he's nervous. They didn't spell it right here. It's okay, Beatrice is also a great friend of mine. Uryu, are Maria's friends my friends? Yeah. Uryu, then, am I Beatrice's friend too? Yeah. Uryu. Maria, does something like this happen frequently for you in your everyday life? Ooh, what? Is breathing a spirit of magic into inorganic matter and giving it life like this commonplace in your everyday life? Ooh, Sakataro isn't inorganic matter, he's a lion cub. Uryu. A stuffed animal makes for an excellent vessel. It's not uncommon for spirits to be made to reside in them, when they are spoken to by innocent children with no toxin. According to Beatrice, every time a child plays with dolls, the dolls actually gain a will and converse with them, sometimes even moving by their own will. So they become Tsukumagami, apparently. Very quickly in this universe, I guess. However, because of their innocence, the power imbued into such a vessel is very weak. If they get struck with even a tiny bit of the toxin from a human's common sense, which says that there's no way a doll can talk or move, they instantly revert to being non-speaking dolls. However, the Sakataro stuffed animal of yours is different. Ooh, Sakataro is a stuffed animal, but he isn't one. Uryu, I'm a lion cub. Uryu. Sakataro's a lion cub, but he's still a kid, so he can't roar sometimes. Uryu. Gazing at Maria, who was playing around with Sakataro by the table loaded with tea, Beatrice let out a sigh of admiration. How incredible. This Sakataro, with a cloth and cotton vessel as a shell, is completely materialized into the human world. He has his own personality, talks with the summoner freely, and even moves by his own will. Even Alice can't pull it off. And even more surprisingly is that Maria did not summon him using the name of a person from another world, but created him out of the Sea of Zero. More Umineko terminology there. After that, Maria boasted to Beato that Sakataro wasn't her only friend, and that she had many more of them back at home. It seemed that there were other similar stuffed animals and dolls who could talk and move with their own will like Sakataro. It was something natural for Maria. It was natural for stuffed animals to talk, move, and become her friends of their own will. When she saw that Maria accepted this as something natural, as a witch, Beatrice felt a respect bordering on awe. Maria, without a doubt, that power of yours is magic. It's magic? I'm still a witch apprentice, so I can't use magic yet, right? No, it is magic. Because you cannot use it consciously, you are still an apprentice. But even so, what magical power it is. The materialization of your friend, Sakataro, is excellent proof of that. Materialization? Indeed. In your case, it may even be fitting to call it creation. A piece of inorganic matter that would have no soul at all in another's hands can have a soul sent into it through your magic. Furthermore, that strong magical power lies in the human world. In this era so filled with a toxin that denies magic, summoning a magical power that can materialize a single life form is not easy, even for me. It isn't hard to give birth to any number of soulless beings. If you say so. However, giving birth to a being with a soul is very difficult. I'd hardly call, like, making something without a soul a being, like, I don't know, a dish of food, or, like, an arts and crafts thing. I don't know if being is the right word for that. This is what Beato asserted. I don't really understand what you're saying, Beato. You're saying Sakutaro is amazing? Easy. You haven't missed anything, don't worry. This part's gonna go on for a while before we really get into the meat of episode 4. Both you and Sakutaro are incredible. You should be proud. I see. That which Kinzo desired above all else seems to dwell most strongly within you. I don't have a clue why Beato is praising Maria so much. Right, Sakutaro? Uryu. What should be truly admired is not only that a soul has been made to reside in a stuffed animal. Even more significant is the fact that you've changed your own worldview. When it comes to giving birth to something from nothing, you stand out from the crowd. It is easy to make 100 from 1. However, giving birth to 1 from 0 is not. When you do become a full witch, beyond just becoming a match for me, you might even grow into a great witch that even I must acknowledge as superior. A witch of origins, perhaps. I'm really looking forward to your future. Ooh, Beato said I have talents as a witch. Isn't that great, Maria? Uryu, Beato, thank you for praising Maria. No need to thank me, Sakutaro. That red muffler truly suits you, and I am envious of the talent of a master who is able to give birth to a friend like you. Uryu, thanks for complimenting my muffler. This is a present I got from Maria. It's my favorite. My big favorite. And its size is truly like a muffler that was created just for you. I see, I must also give my new friend some kind of present. Ooh? Beato is giving Sakutaro a present? Of course, a gift from a witch must be something with magical power. In that case, so that he can be your friend for all time, and so that you can have even more fun playing with him, I shall give Sakutaro my magic power. Oh? With that, he should be able to materialize even more strongly. Ooh? I'll be able to have much more fun playing with Sakutaro? How's that? Uryu? What could it be, Maria? Is it something scary? Don't worry, Beato won't do anything scary. Right, Beatrice? Indeed. I believe you will like it. So to make it materialize even more strongly, a stronger image will be necessary. Hey, sweetie. Well, well, what to do? A ritual, perhaps? Beato crossed her arms and thought about what she could do to please them even more. Gremlin. Then, right there, was the form of yet another witch. It was Beato's teacher, Virgilia. Virgilia truly was a great witch. Since Maria already thought of Beato as a great witch, this person Beato called a great witch must have been a great witch. According to Beato, she still didn't even rise up to this witch's feet when it came to magical power. My. I thought I heard some cheery voices. What a fun tea party this seems to be. Oh, teacher. Perfect timing. I want you to look at this lion cub. I hear he's Maria's new friend. Oh ho ho, what a lovely lion son. I wonder if he can greet me. Hello, nice to meet you. Uryu. This is very nice placement, it looks like he's hugging her. Uryu, I'm Sakutaro. Sakutaro fell to Maria's lap, greeting Virgilia with half of his face poking out over the edge of the table. Be careful where you flop, I have drinks and stuff, buddy. I'll move stuff away from you. Come on. You. Might be causing any trouble. It seemed he was very nervous, since this was a witch that even Beato called teacher. Ho ho ho, what an adorable name. As a reward for giving such a good greeting, here's a sweet for you. I don't know why Zen gave Utsuho the Unyu thing, which came first, Subterranean Animism or Umineko episode 4, actually. Let me take a look. Animism came out a bit after I got into the fandom. This is 2008. Umineko episode 4 release date. Also 2008. Just a few months later. December 2008. That's cool. I think it's probably too far apart to have anything to do with it, but don't forget that they do know each other. Zun and Yukichi 7 have drank together. Of course, Zun has met a lot of people at this point, like he's met Toby Fox, so... After waving her hands about, Virgilia held the palm of her hand upwards, as though she was lightly grabbing at the empty air. Then she held her fist out in front of Sakutaro. When she opened her fist, there was one of those individually wrapped cough drops. Uryu? Moria, it's candy. Awesome, awesome. Ooh, isn't that great, Sakutaro? Make sure to thank her. Uryu, thank you very much for the candy. Gulp. On that note, is Sakutaro? He's not in here. Oh, right. Yeah, I don't want to see that. Bad art. Don't forget about all these other characters. Even though Vigilia was a great witch, she still treated a stuffed animal like Sakutaro to an elegant greeting. Still, teacher. Cough drops? Are you someone's granny or something? Can't you at least pull out some strawberry milk candy? I do like those too. How rude. In that case, I won't be giving you any more. We always had this, like, neighbor person who's kind of like... not really a family member, but they're one of those people who live nearby and have been, like, a family friend for a long time, so you call them grandma. We had quite a few people like that. I'm actually not sure. It could have been one of, like, 2 or 3 people I'm thinking of. Oh, I think I know. Grandma Alice, I think. I think whenever she came by my parents' house when I was a kid, she would give the big dog, Bandit, that we had at the time, a cough drop. He would just chonk it down. I guess that's fine for dogs. Yeah, sorry. Well then, Maria, take out your grimoire, and of course your writing tools. Ooh? Yeah, I'll take it out. What should I write? Oh, what are you starting? I will use a magic I learned from your teacher. Magic to make a resident of another world materialize into a vessel. I think that by applying that, we may be able to further strengthen the power that makes this friend of Maria's materialize. I wanted to give that as a gift to Maria and her friend. I see. For a being that has already materialized, it shouldn't be that difficult. That could become a wonderful gift. She can be focused for a bit. Well then, I shall help too, if only a little. It would be very reassuring if you would sign for this magic as a witness, teacher. Be glad, Maria. Drink cough drop. Cough drops are solid, so no, I don't think cats can drink them. And cats have far pickier stomachs anyway, to my knowledge. You want to be more careful with what you feed them. I was always told, make sure that cats don't eat ladybugs, and I saw a ladybug in the house recently. I'm like, okay, well, you know, I've never verified this. And they are bad for them, but like, one ladybug isn't going to do anything to them. They'd have to eat a bunch of them. So it's not any different from like humans and like apple seeds, which apparently contain, don't quote me on this, I think a small bit of cyanide, but not enough to be bad. People hear cyanide and they're like, holy shit, I'm getting poisoned. And, well, yeah, I would think the same thing too, but it's just a chemical like everything else. But a bit of it in an apple seed is apparently fine. But if you were to eat like a ton of apple seeds, like maybe cups full, I think you would die. I don't know the ratios here, I don't know the numbers, but it's the same for cats and ladybugs. If they get a bunch in them, they're poisonous. But don't freak out if you have cats and you like see one ladybug in the house. It's not even going to give them an upset stomach if they eat it, I don't think. According to Google. This is all according to Google. I'm not a medical expert. Who do you? What's happening? It isn't scary, is it? Like how overeating chocolate can kill you. I haven't heard of that. I mean, technically, like, even too much water can kill you. But you have to really, really gulp down gallons and gallons, of course. So I guess really in that sense anything can. Don't know, but I don't think it's scary. What could it be? I can't wait. Beato borrowed the grimoire from Maria's handbag and majestically flipped through the pages, making the text disappear for a brief moment, throwing Hakane off. Then she found an empty page among those with magic circles drawn on them, and flattened it out. After gazing at Sakutaro with a grin, she suddenly started moving her pen. It was something like a written declaration made by witches to a high order... Oh, that jumped on the back of my, chair. Back to this focus, I guess. Hello. She turned my chair a little bit, even though she's like the lightest cat in the house. It was magic whose effect could be controlled if Beatrice wrote and Virgile signed. Hey, don't cause trouble. No trouble. Mari didn't understand what Beato was writing at first, but partway through, she figured out the wonderful magic power of this document, and her eyes began to sparkle. Who do you? Who do you? What is it, Mario? What's she drawing? Who do you? Sakutaro was on her lap, so he didn't know what was being written on the table. But even if he'd seen, Sakataro probably wouldn't have understood. Hey, hey. Can't see her right now, but she's just being a total gremlin. Hi. You do this enough, she'll like kind of go crazy. They're biting at it, but she loves it. Come on. Awesome, Sakataro. Wait a bit. Almost done. Almost done. It's amazing, Beato. Amazing. When it comes to writing documents of power, this child's mad talent is magnificent. You might even serve well as a secretary in the spirit world. You can make her look up at the camera. How's this? Not so bad, right? After finishing her writing with an intense amount of concentration, Beata looked over the document again from a distance. Was she wincing in pain, though? It seemed she was fairly satisfied with her work. And Maria, who was also peeking in at it, let out a cry of wonder. Awesome, Beato. Cute! Ooh, ooh, ooh. By the name of the Golden Witch, Beatrice, I now acknowledge Sakataro, Maria's child. Capital Maria. Teacher, if you would sign as a witness. Yes, yes. By my name, I witness and acknowledge this oath. It is done. Come on, Al, you can have lap time. Happies, come on. Virgilia signed, completing the written declaration. It was a document with the power to proclaim to the beings of a higher world that Sakutaro had most certainly materialized in the human world. Sakutaro, who had been born from Maria, was nominated by the two witches, Beatrice and Virgilia, and just now his existence had been acknowledged by the higher world. What are you getting at there? Actually, I do have cough drops right here. So, well, capture card. That itself was the great magic of materialization. According to Beato, it was apparently quite fortunate that Virgilia was there. After all, depending on the number and quality of witches that signed proclamations to the higher world, the power that resided in them could change drastically. Thinking like those things in Disgaea that you have to like pass before the council. Can you hear this? Virgilia in particular had many friends in that higher plane, so her signature gave the proclamation a power with which Beato's couldn't even compare. By this proclamation, I accept you, Sakutaro, as an individual with his own ego, and I welcome you as a friend in accordance with the contract of marriage sorcery or I don't know. Marriage sorcery. I can't read other languages. Except the ones I know. From now on, Sakutaro is our common friend. I have no idea how you pronounce that actually. Is this like supposed to be French? Probably? Or Italian maybe, considering. Maybe. Beatrice's name. And for that, I shall bestow upon you a fitting form as a gift. Accepted. With the grimoire still open to the page with the proclamation, she turned it around and handed it to Maria. Maria showed it to Sakutaro on her lap. When Sakutaro beheld that proclamation, he felt something hot and bright begin to dwell in his body made of cloth and cotton. Even as he looked around, nervous at this sensation he'd never felt before, that power strengthened, and eventually, a bright light completely swallowed him up. Uryu? Uryu? Gonna make like one of those diagrams of the words I've said during this stream and see where Uryu falls on it. Pretty high up, probably. And here it is. Ryukishi 7 just can't resist adding even more characters to the character chart, so he gets his own portrait now. Then, when that light disappeared, there, Marius from Sakutaro held a new form and existed. Ooh, you're cute, Sakutaro. Really cute. Uryu, does it really look good on me? It isn't embarrassing? Oh, it is a very lovely form, Sakutaro-chan. I figured the muffler was his charm point. Charm point is explicitly a Japanese term, but sometimes I use it. I'm not sure if it's used outside of Japan or not. I mean, people get it, but I don't know. I'm like so used to hearing it, and I use it relatively often, I'd say, compared to like some other words. I don't know. I prefer it over like strong point. And the ears. Animal ears sure are nice. It's really cute. Kimono Mimi. Let me nibble them later. It's a little bit like how they use the word appeal, kind of. which is kind of different than how we do. Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you very much for the wonderful present. There's no need for thanks. This is out of respect for your wonderful magic and your friend. And now that you have reached this level, it would not be odd for you to graduate from being an apprentice at any time. From now on, I shall instruct you on even more new and fun magic. From this point forward, you may call yourself Maria, an apprentice witch of origins. A witch of origins? My name is Maria. Sad as Maria, but you can call me Maria too. Indeed. It is the title of a witch who seeks to become a creator. Right now, you are just an enchanter, a magician specializing in forms of magical enhancement. I wonder if, like, Beatrice says this out loud with parentheses, or if this is just the narrator. She's just, like, whispering the definition over here. An enchanter. Maria, an enchanter is a magician specializing in forms of magical enhancement. Keep up. Who only has enough strength to breathe magical power into the small objects around her. But after 1,000 years of training, you could conceivably use the magical compendium that resides inside your heart to create a galaxy. The talent of a witch of origins is very rare. Even— hey, don't grab me like that. I'll stop petting you. Even though everyone has it when they're young, no one can continue to hold on to it. This title is also proof that you have not lost your untainted heart. She's still a child, so I would think, yeah. Ooh, a witch of origins. Awesome. Not sure what age she is right now, but we know she's less than 9. She's 9 when the family conference happens. And this is obviously a flashback for that. I'm not sure how far back. At least a year, probably maybe 2. I'm not sure, but I'd like to think that most kids still have their child heart when they're 9. She hasn't gone— well, she's gone through some trauma, but the real trauma is yet to come. A witch of origins. Awesome, I'll become one. The Pirate King. I'm Maria, an apprentice witch of origins. Maria, that's so incredible. A witch of origins. Incredible. Amazing. Sugoi Uryu. Eventually, you'll be able to call yourself a full witch. Lady Maria, witch of origins. It may be a good time now to give not only Sakataro, but you as well, an appearance fitting for your rank. Here, I shall give a proper outfit for one who, while still an apprentice, is worthy of using the title of witch. Here you go again. Dare to wave the pipe that was arcane. Many gold butterflies that had appeared out of nowhere grouped around Maria, giving her a wonderful dress. Oh yeah, I'll check the new portrait. And this one too. So this is our new Maria. Capital Maria, right here. The Witch of Origins, who will live for 1,000 years in the future. She holds the motherly magical power to give birth to one from a sea of 0. At a glance, this magical power is frail, but no matter how many times you multiply 0, you never end up with anything more than 0. However, the one she gave birth to will one day surpass even the heavens. She is loyally protected by Beatrice, who understands her true worth. The two of them are members of the same alliance. I'd prefer the old art. The old art's cute. This one, I don't know. I guess I like this single tooth, which is something that isn't there in the original art. That has 2. But still, I'm not really a fan of this art style. I don't mind this one as much, I guess. My face isn't too bad. The beloved furniture of Lady Maria, a witch of marriage sorcery. He's Lady Maria's white heart itself. You might even say he's the second Lady Maria, and irreplaceable to her. He holds a decoration as a diplomat, and none may attack him. Not any of the witches, weapons, and furniture in the Alliance, nor any of the demons and divine spirits in a contract with the Alliance. Whatever that means. He's in here as Goldsmith. Goldsmith is Kinzo's sorcerer's name. His skill as a summoner is legendary for the current era. His summoning ability surpasses even Beatrice's at times. However, he is very mismatched, excelling in some areas while fatally lacking as a sorcerer in others. Magic with enough power to reheat a cup of black tea may be beyond him, but he's capable of summoning demons with magic strong enough to boil the sea. The source of his magic is found in arithmetic miracles, and his magical compendium is unique. Later on, even Beatrice took note of this and rearranged her own compendium accordingly. We can pretend that his kids are silversmiths and the grandchildren are coppersmiths. And we've already seen the others. I don't know if we read these exact descriptions though. So I'll go ahead. Beatrice, the endless witch who has lived for 1,000 years. She is known for being exceptionally cruel, even among witches. Kinzo Smith. She loves bullying the weak and is capable of using trial and error endlessly to find the cruelest fate they can possibly be given. And she toys with her victims even further by piling on one after another. Piling on one after... Yeah, I read that right. This witch is extremely powerful, but word has it that she sometimes becomes obsessed with creating certain patterns so that her means end up becoming her goals. I am the Delta, the Witch of Certainty, who has lived for 1,000 years. She thinks of Beatrice's game as a birdcage enclosing Bernkastel. Her goal was an eternal tie. She'll ally with Beatrice as a general rule, but she'll support Balor when it looks like he's about to resign. Then, when it looks like Beatrice is about to be courted, she'll start supporting the witch again. The willpower of Certainty is far stronger than the Endless, which just repeats over and over idly. Bernkastel, the Witch of Miracles, who has lived for 1,000 years. To defeat Beatrice in her game, she threw in a piece called Angie, capital. The Voyager witches who cross the Sea of Fragments are being far superior to the witches who cannot leave their own territories. While they may be on an even footing inside this territory, her true magical power far surpasses that of Beatrice. What is sought by those witches who repeatedly voyage in an attempt to escape boredom? Probably an escape from boredom, as you've said. And Angie. Basically everyone on this page is a witch, except Sakataro, I guess, and he's a sorcerer. Angie, the Endless Witch who will live for 1,000 years in the future. Or perhaps she's 100 witches who will fell them all. Witches cannot be felled if they are not understood. Witches cannot be felled even if they are understood. Understand witches, and yet deny them. Only this contradictory power gives her the blade with which to fell witches. What is a witch exactly? Something to think about, maybe. Oops. Angie. Okay, back to the good art. It's certainly less fitting for the girl who would eventually take the name of the Witch of Origins, combining both cuteness and dignity. Sugoi. Sugoi, 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 sugoi. Cute, cute. I want to show these clothes to Mama too. Can I? The full dress of a witch must not be shown indiscriminately. Its value increases if you're stingy with it. Shouldn't be an apostrophe there. Cackle. Then, the Great Witch, the Witch's Apprentice, and their new friend Sakataro enjoyed a lively tea party. Don't you mean the Great Witch, the Great Witch, and the Witch's Apprentice? And then Sakataro? See? Look how happy I am. Right, so this whole thing was Maria trying to convince Angie that she was happy, despite Angie, I guess, like, knowing about her strained relationship with her mother. Right, through the journal and all that. Oh, wait, oh. This isn't a flashback. This isn't a flashback at all. This is after the Irakejime incident, when Angie is reading Maria's diary after Ava already died in the hospital, and she's trying to, like, understand what happened. Right, okay. I'm kind of more caught up now. It's been a bit. Okay, I'm all fueled up though. Okay. Please, don't be afraid of being happy. Hey, don't play with bottle caps. Becoming happy isn't the same thing as accepting your current misfortune. Okay. It means creating a new happiness out of your current misfortune. That is the magic of origins. I didn't want to acknowledge my current world. I couldn't bear to accept such an isolated and painful world. That's why, even though it was a trance by your world, Mario Nechan, I couldn't cross the final line. I'll teach you. Don't go back there. Don't play with cords. I'll teach you about my magic of origins. Hey. No, I taught you before, right? And you used it before. Did you forget? You were also a witch apprentice, Angie, with your name entered into marriage sorcery, weren't you? Yeah, that was true. Marriage sorcery. That takes me back. I'm assuming that those are like the names being represented here in Italian or whatever. I'm guessing. Again, I don't know how to pronounce this. I also had my name entered in there at one point, didn't I? want to get up and, like, change the temperature, but I still have Allie on my lap, so it's kind of hard to. So I'll wait a bit longer. I'll wait until I really start sweating. The weather has been so, like, all over the place recently. It's been back and forth with turning on the AC and the heat and the AC and the heat. 12 years later. 12 years later. That's a long time later. Right. Yeah, that's when we are, though. We're 12 years after the incident. Yes, I will never forget that. It happened in April of 1987. I received a certain strange request from a friend. It was a large collection of books, the former possessions of a very rich man, that were being sold at auction, and it was thought that some of them might have been extremely valuable to the study of archaeology and folklore, as well as in an occult sense. So this friend wanted to witness their worth confidentially. That was 87, half a year after the crime on Rokkenjima. Correct. It was explained that those books had escaped the disaster at Rokkenjima. The owner of the island, Miss Ushimira Eva, had put them up for auction. So Eva got the island afterwards. Someone had to, and Eva was the sole survivor. Besides Angie, of course, who wasn't there that day. This was apparently a high-class restaurant. A middle-aged man was sitting across from Angie in a secluded and quiet seat. Amakusa could be seen by the entrance. Amakusa is essentially Angie's bodyguard right now, don't forget. Angie's being pursued by, the other side of Kirie's family. Her aunt, basically, right now. Because they want the fortune, but they can't really have that fortune with Angie around. Yeah, Amakusa could be seen by the entrance. He was probably keeping a lookout for pursuers from the Sumideta family. The scholarly man across from Angie spoke politely, but with enthusiasm. Wait, what? He doesn't change? He doesn't have a new portrait? To be fair, this guy's like a total rando. I'm not even sure if he has a name. But he doesn't have a new portrait? I don't have like a mod or anything, so it's not... That's so strange. You're telling me like... That's really weird, huh? Okay. If you say so. He didn't lay a finger on the food in front of him, so you could tell how excited he was as he spoke fluently. He was a professor at a certain college, and particularly well known as an authority on Western folklore. However, among his life works, that was only a convenient exterior. His true life work was the study of occultism, Western magic, alchemy, and everything else to do with the occult, as well as demonology. In short, he was the person in the best position to understand the details of Kinzo's research. First, what I learned by appraising those books was that Miss Ushimira Eva had absolutely no education in the study of folklore, and that the original owner of the books, Ushimura Kinzo, was certainly one of the top 5 authorities on demonology in Japan. It's not even like shaded differently, it's just shrunk down a bit. Oh, he is in here. That's so weird. I guess he did have a name. Why is he... I'm googling this. Umineko Professor Otsuki portrait. Okay, well... I guess he gets a different portrait in one of the other, like, art revisions. I don't know which one this is. Hold on, I'm gonna go to the wiki real quick here. Let's see. Sprites. Okay, well, his page is not very big. Alright, is it? Goodbye. See ya. But it looks like this in one of the arts. I think that's like the PS3 art, not the pachinko art. And the PS3 art's better than the pachinko art, but anyway, Professor Otsuki. I forgot he even had a name. Spoilers, he's not really very important. The professor at a certain college, well known as an authority on the subject of Western folklore. He's also famous for his hobby, researching the Rokkenjima witch legend as one of the witch hunters. The primary focus of the witch hunt is the pasting together of occult stories to try and make them match with the Rokkenjima incident, making it much more of a mental game for dilettantes and enthusiasts of the mystical than a scientific investigation into the truth of a crime. But I'm sure it still has plenty of true crime videos on YouTube. Okay. No tips. April 1987. No further date provided. A major city antique shop obtained a large quantity of ancient documents that were thought to have a high historical value. They were entrusted with them by Ushime and Eva, who wanted them to be sold at auction. At the time, it was thought that Eva would succeed the Ushimura family and have all the wealth to herself as the only survivor. However, at that point, not even half a year had passed since the accident, and the others had not been missing long enough to be presumed dead, even under extraordinary circumstances. Got all those bodies, but they're like, nah. So, who knows what happened there? Some real police fuck-ups, I guess. Because of that, Eva had supposedly been in a very tight spot financially, unable even to collect on her family's life insurance. It seems she tried to sell everything of value, and even the books kept in the place where she'd escaped harm in, Quadorian, were used for this purpose. Quadorian being the second mansion on the island, the secret mansion that's come up a couple times. These old books, which would eventually be called the Ushimura Library, were later gathered from antique shops by authorities in the field so that they could be appraised, and those authorities were astounded. Only speaking from the perspective of occultism, the impact of the discovery on the world was comparable to the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls. I think if Maribel and Renko were in this world, they would definitely be like huge fans of the Rakenjima incident. And I can really see Mary like having a vision into the incident and like Mary and Renko appearing inside the mansion and watching the murders or something. In fact, that's like such a good idea for like some kind of like crossover fiction that I'm shocked it hasn't been done yet. That's actually kind of a cool idea. And I usually don't really like that kind of crossover. This is because, contained within the Ushimura Library were many extremely vital documents that had never been found, though their existence had been known of for more than a millennium. The many dreams of the occult, such as those represented by alchemy, always stirred an intense fascination in dilettantes. I'm not sure what that word means offhand. Let's see. Dilettante. The prisoner cultivates an area of interest such as the arts without real commitment or knowledge. So, okay, a person with an amateur interest in the arts. Superficial interest in art, or branch of knowledge. What's the word I'm trying to think of? So, a secondary. Okay. Secondary fans of the occult. Got it. It is whispered that many magic books of great historical value, currently unknown to the public, might be in the secret possession of extremely wealthy lovers of the occult. Items such as Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks, which are particularly popular among dilettantes, are said to be prime examples of this. Basically, rich people who get into the occult for, like, image purposes, but don't actually really care about it, I think, is what they're expressing here. It is said that approximately 5,000 pages of these notebooks currently exist, and that over 10,000 have been lost. That's a lot of pages. But some researchers believe that a large part of this lost portion may be monopolized by certain enthusiasts and members of the extremely rich. It is said that because of this, even now, dilettantes who can't help but seek these spare no expense to search around for quietly hoarded away in unannounced notebooks. There's probably no doubting that Ushimura Kinzo was himself one of those dilettantes. No, I think he was pretty actually interested. I don't think you want to use that word with Kinzo. No one knows what Kinzo went through to obtain those, but there can be no mistake that he used his vast wealth freely, buying them off other rich people with the same hobby as him. Those books, which were so valuable that enthusiasts could never satisfy their desire to hoard them away, were discovered in large numbers at the end of the 20th century, and the release to the public had given the entire world a massive shock. Because of this case, the name Rakenjima became known across the world. The world was also shocked to learn that, in all likelihood, a large number of even more valuable undiscovered books were lost during the accident on Rakenjima. Yeah, I guess they got splattered in blood. Can't read them anymore, they're just gone. No details on that. Because of this, the names of Rakenjima and the Ushimura Library will remain in our memories for all time. Our memories. That our probably meant the occult neck of the woods with the same hobby as Kinzo. Because of that incident, the name of Rakenjima had taken on a vital meaning in the world of the occult. There certainly had been a lot of reporting about the accident on Rakenjima itself. Accident. But not on an international level. It's really weird how it gets referred to 12 years after the fact, isn't it? Strange. Obviously, the way I'm pointing it out, I'm saying it means something. Just something to think about. It's being painted very differently than the ways we've seen it portrayed so far. However, this one part had spread across the world, taking the image of Rakenjima as a small island in the Izu archipelago, and painting it over as a demonic island where riddles, suspicion, mystery, and the occult met. Too bad Izu already left. Wow. In other words, until Kinzo's library was leaked to the public by Eva, Rakenjima had been merely a nameless island that no one could remember, and certainly not the island of a witch. However, when knowledge of the Ushimino library spread all over the planet, Rakenjima's image immediately took on an occult twist. What happened next was the discovery of that message bottle. That's what turned that island into a witch's island. A nameless island in the Izu archipelago began to transition into an island of the occult, the island of the mysterious witch, Beatoreche. You might say that, lacking either the Ushimino library or the message bottle, the Rakenjima witch legend would have never been established. The message bottle. Yes, a form of communication to an unspecified target by throwing an empty bottle with a letter sealed inside it into the sea. It was once famous as a way of sending an SOS from a deserted island, but because of the influence of a certain prominent foreign detective novel, it has also become known as a method of confessing the truth after one's own death, like a time-delayed will. I'm not really familiar with, old novels to know what this is referring to. But it probably is true. The case of the Rakenjima message bottle was certainly one of the latter. This is the thing everyone says a fisherman on a nearby island picked up? Correct. We learned that a young fisherman on Shikenijima picked up a wine bottle with a letter in it. This young fisherman kept it just out of curiosity. Then, because Rakenjima had fallen under the world's attention due to the Ushimino library, he announced his discovery. Is there any chance that it was a fabrication made by the fisherman? Of course, we weren't able to deny that possibility. The scraps of paper in the wine bottle were signed by a certain member of the Ushimino family, a girl named Ushimino Maria. However, after looking at the writing left on her former belongings, it was confirmed that this message was written in a different person's handwriting. A different person's handwriting? Correct. At the very least, I believe there can be no doubt that it was written by a person more skilled at writing and of a greater age than her. There's a very high likelihood that someone faked her name when they wrote it. Therefore, at that point in time, the contents of those scraps of paper were thought to have a very low credibility. However, later on, it was confirmed that a similar message bottle had been recovered from the nearby ocean on the day of the accident by the police in their search for lost articles, and this caused a sensation. It seems that, due to evidence from the surrounding area and the fact that the bottle had been sealed, the police had decided that its likelihood of being a fabrication was low, and that it had been abandoned no earlier than a few days before the accident. And the handwriting for both matched. This caused the credibility of the scraps of paper discovered by the fishermen to rise. It seems magazines and the like have reported on the contents of that message bottle repeatedly, but would you like an explanation? No. I know about it, more or less. But we want to know about it. Many scraps of paper had been stuffed into both of the wine bottles. It was an extensive notebook written by someone calling themselves Ushimino Maria, but who wasn't Maria, and which told of the events starting the day before the accident and up until the day of the accident in a diary-like way. And its contents had been the beginning of the Witch's Legend serial murder incident, as well as the Golden Witch Beatrice's puzzle, the Millennium Puzzle. This bizarre, diary-style notebook described how the Ushimino family members, nailed down on the island by the typhoon, were caught up in a ceremony for the resurrection of a witch and killed one by one in inexplicable ways. And in the end, the Golden Witch Beatrice revived, and everything was flung into the Golden Land. But how would Mori be able to write that part? I guess to be fair, sometimes we don't see Moria die, sometimes she survives. I actually don't remember offhand. Has she survived every time? No. She died in part 3 to Eva Beatrice on the fence. And the other two I think she survived in 1 and 2. I can't recall. Also, it depicted the current situation on the island at the time in great detail. And the former servants who used to work for the Ushimino family gave testimony that it had definitely been written by a human who knew the inside details of the island. So, because of a combination of the occult boom from that strange fantasy novel and the Ushimino library, as well as the fact that the truth remained shrouded in darkness, the legend of the Rakenjima witch was born? Correct. More than 10 years have already passed since that case, and it's still the focus of interest for occult enthusiasts across the world. There's so much cat hair on my face. Alright, honey, you gotta get off my lap, I think. I'll be back once. Okay, I turned the heat down a little bit too. Okay. No, to the contrary, you could say that it's become increasingly deified as time passes. There are still many enthusiasts who try to secretly land on Nokenjima, even though it's prohibited. Could there be another message bottle that still hasn't been discovered? Who owns it now? No, Abe is dead. I don't know if Angie technically owns it or what. And on that day, what really happened on the island? There's still much to be discussed. As though he'd finally remembered that he'd been going on and on for some time, the man took a gulp of water. His pottage was getting cold, but it seemed that the man's hunger had already been blown away. I'm pretty sure I heard that the fisherman's scraps of paper and the police's scraps of paper had completely different contents. Correct. Due to that, interest in the Umineko mystery increased even further. Inside both bottles were diary-style notebooks on which was written an account from the day before the accident until the day of the accident. However, while both of their contents described the same 2-day period, they were completely different. It was as though one was the truth and one was a lie. Or perhaps both were lies. In any event, the beginnings and endings alone matched each other. In the beginning, the 18 people, including their relatives, are sealed up on the island by the typhoon. And in the ending, everyone dies, the Golden Witch is revived, and everything is flung into the Golden Land. So we have multiple cases, or at least 2 cases, of the story being told with different stuff happening in the middle. Kind of like what we've seen in the first, second, third episodes so far. So, besides just being a game between Battler and Beatrice, there might be something more to this fact that we're seeing like in-universe explanations for why there might be multiple happenings. It's confusing. It's confusing, but think on the parallel maybe, just keep in mind. Something to think about a little. No, don't come back down here, stay up there, honey. The contents of both message bottles wrote about the events of the day before the accident and the day of the accident. But the details were completely different. Both diaries outline a serial murder following the epitaph of the witch, but the order of the sacrifices, the ways they died, and even the tale of the 2 days were different. However, in both, everyone died in the end, and the witch revived, making for the same general plot. Because the only survivor, Miss Uchimeda Eba, has remained silent about what actually happened on the island, the events of that entire 2-day period are shrouded in darkness. I would think if she made it off the island and everyone else was dead, she would be arrested, like if she couldn't provide some kind of alibi. But apparently not. Apparently that's not how the Japanese justice system decided to work here. Come on, you. Alright, you can be over there, that's fine. Just... These 2 diaries presented a full 2 theories to wipe away that darkness. Those 2 days could be explained with either of those 2 diaries. However, we don't know which is correct, or even if there's anything correct contained within them. Schrodinger's cat box. Schrodinger's litter box. If it isn't denied, even a mixture of truth and fiction can be the truth. Through the media, these scraps of paper had of course been shown to Eva as well, but in the end, she never broke her silence. You sent the message bottles, and why? Earlier, in their special issue for the crime's 10th anniversary... Yeah, anniversary. A certain magazine took that topic up for discussion in a grand matter, didn't they? That theory seems to be the one garnering the most support lately. But it is rather dull. What happened on the island on that day? Considering this question is the true charm of the witch hunt. The witch hunt? Yes, the Umineko witch hunt is the name of a group of enthusiasts who try to explain the truth of that crime from an occult perspective. Discussion of the mysteries that surround Umineko, from the Ushimida Library to the mysterious 2-day period to the legend of the Golden Witch, is flourishing even today among enthusiasts. For the 10-year anniversary, an international convention was held in New York. I also participated as a representative of Japan. I was able to intermingle with zealous overseas witch hunters in many ways. Witches are a very popular category overseas. Much hair here. You guys got up to too much in here. There's too much hair floating around. The age span of the participants stretched from elementary schoolers at the bottom all the way to famous cultural figures at the top. So this is like Umineko Reitai Sai. No. No. Ellie here has a habit of thinking if you're talking that you're talking to her sometimes. But that's not the case. No, it's not. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the internet. I'm talking to 0 viewers right now. So you gotta give me some space, okay? No. Okay. Maybe now I can stop getting hair in my nose. Even in Japan in recent years, there was finally... You probably don't need any more explanation, but he's one of the most famous Rokkenjima witch hunters in Japan. Even though I didn't ask anything more, he kept continuing on excitedly all by himself. As I swirled the thin film on my pottage with my spoon, I shrugged my shoulders and sighed. Looks like researching about the message bottle really was a waste of time. No, if there's one thing I've found, it's that the notebook supposedly written by Mario Ne-chan was actually written by a different person faking her name. And that person wrote up an occult legend on their own, put it into the bottle as though it was the truth, and threw it into the sea. I have a question. Why would they go to all the trouble of writing so much in order to prepare a suspicious letter like that? With a message bottle, there'd be no guarantee that it ever passed into anyone's hands. If their luck had been bad, it could have sunk into the ocean, never to be seen by anyone. And even if someone had picked it up, they might have not cared about it and thrown it away. Why would they entrust their confession of the truth to the sea with such an uncertain method? And why would they write up multiple differing tales? If there'd been one message bottle, claiming that its story was the truth might be reckless, but not impossible. However, because there were two, that made both of them doubtful. If someone was plotting to make out those 2 days to be the work of a witch, then they really did go one step too far. And because there were two, it suggests that an undiscovered third one, or possibly even more, might exist. In other words, the two different contents makes both of them harder and harder to swallow. But despite that, the contents of both matched in that they told of a witch in a tale. So is that the main point the writer wanted to get across to us? It seems to me that the only possible explanation is that someone who wanted to give rise to an illusion of the witch carried out this crime for their own enjoyment. The whole crime? However, the 17 people other than Aunt Ava lost their lives, and vast wealth, or maybe even 10 tons of gold, had moved around secretly in the darkness. It doesn't feel right for a confession occurring after all that to bring up this illusion of the witch. Even if we ignore the magazine's theories, it's very doubtful that message bottle really was a diary. However, we do know that the gold exists now. We saw Ava find it in episode 3. A real thing. The epitaph can be solved. After all, the amount of writing was massive. It's hard to imagine that someone actually caught up in the middle of a serial murder like that would be able to calmly write it down. In that case, it's probably more realistic that this diary was written slowly over a long period of time, up until the day prior to the accident. In that case, would it mean that everything on Rokkenjima was a planned crime, with everything prepared for over a long stretch of time? The fact that Aunt Ava left this world without saying anything is infuriating. She definitely said it on her deathbed. She definitely said that her reason for not telling me the truth was because it was her best way of harassing me. Yeah, by now it's painfully obvious. Of all the things Aunt Ava did to harass me, this was probably the last and the greatest. Well, it was definitely the last. She died. But thinking of it this way, it's pretty doubtful that Aunt Ava is the true culprit. Of course, that's not because the handwriting on the message bottle was different from Aunt Ava's or anything like that. It's because in both tales that were discovered, Aunt Ava was included among the victims. If the writer of that diary was the culprit, maybe Aunt Ava was also one of the targets to be killed. Maybe Aunt Ava survived because something went wrong. Because I hated Aunt Ava, I came to believe that she had to be the culprit. But the existence of the message bottle makes me suspect that the mastermind is a far more profound and unknown person than her. So essentially, Angie's theorizing that these were all written in the same notebook as like different alternative plans or like ways that the days might go down, and then sent out in message bottles for whatever reason during, before or after the murders. I looked at the clock. I've heard more than enough. It's time. As he continued to speak fervently, I suggested that I wanted to bring this discussion to a close. He seemed to be aware that he'd gotten excited and talked too much, so he quickly accepted this. Thank you very much for today. I believe I've heard something truly valuable. No. It was truly fun to be able to welcome a young lady as a new friend of the witch hunt. I have many precious materials that I couldn't show you because of this change to a different venue from the usual. I'd be glad to show you them at the next chance we get. My question, does he know who she is? I'm actually not sure. Thank you, Professor. Could I ask one more thing? Yes, what is it? Professor, why are you interested in witches? No, in occultism and demonology. Well, that's somewhat embarrassing. Daydream I had in my childhood, that if I could use a mysterious power, I could take on even the biggest of bullies. Went on to become my life's work. After all, the primitive desire of admiring a known power is as universal today as it ever was in the past. Professor, if you could do it, would you want to become a witch? Do you still dream of being able to use magic at will? But of course. Even though, at this age, I understand logically that such a thing couldn't exist, I cannot forget my childlike dreams, such as flying in the sky and turning scrap iron into gold. If you would, please keep this a secret from my students. If I told you that I was a real witch, would you believe it? Hahaha. My pet theory from my few experiences with women is that they're all witches. Angie snorted at the old professor, who must have been an earnest scholar with barely any experience with women. Yeah, and one final question. Professor, have you seen the original message bottle itself? I have indeed. In that case, do you know that handwriting well? Of course. I'm not a specialist in that area, but at least when it comes to the handwriting of the message bottle, I'm proud to be the most knowledgeable in Japan. At that point, Angie set a book on the desk with a thud. And this is? I've never seen it before. He prided himself on his thorough knowledge of all literature related to Rakenjima, and he looked bewildered at this binding that he hadn't seen before. Ignoring him, Angie silently flipped through the pages, opened one of them, and showed him. On that page was a handwritten paragraph beginning with, "To my beloved witch apprentice," and at the end, there was a signature in katakana that said, "Beatrice." This is? The instant he glanced at it, his face went pale. She knew the answer before asking, but Angie asked it aloud anyway. Does the handwriting in the paragraph on this page match the handwriting in the message bottle? Well, I must take this home and investigate more, but pardon me for asking, but what in the world is this book? Where did you get it? The man stretched out his hand, but Angie pulled it back, as though telling him not to touch it with his filthy hands. Thank you. Just that reaction is all I need. Thank you very much for today. Here's the reward I promised. As she stood up, clutching Maria's diary, Angie carelessly tossed a wad of 10,000 yen notes wrapped with a strip of paper onto the table. As Angie turned her back to him and made to leave, the man raised his voice as though clinging to her. But Angie didn't stop walking. I beg you, what in the world is that book? I don't need a reward. Show me the book. Both you and I are in the witch hunt, but it looks like we aren't pursuing it at the same level. You're entertaining yourself with the outside of the cat box. And what I want to know is about the inside of the cat box. And this book is the key to opening it. It's too good for you. Well then. Goodbye, gentlemen. Have a nice day. Poor Professor Otsuki. Please wait. Sumitara-san. His voice didn't reach her. She had already joined up with Amakusa and gone into the car. So she gave her name as part of the Sumitara family, essentially. Not the Ushimita family. So he doesn't know who she is. Sounds of it. Did you find anything? Only at the very end. I was right. The one who wrote the message bottles was Beatrice herself. Cool. So you've concluded that the witch actually exists. Who knows? Mind if I sleep? I'll bet that talkative professor gets lost in his own little world in lectures and makes a lot of kids fall asleep. Please, go ahead. Take a rest. Still, that went really well. That guy believed I was a Sumidera until the very end. The Sumidera family had set up a web beforehand around any people Angie might try to contact. They'd offered a reward to anyone who could take Ushimita Angie into custody if she appeared. Angie had foreseen that and had snatched it away. She'd called herself Sumidera, and after cleverly tricking the man by saying her own subordinates would set up an ambush, so he didn't need to worry about it, she'd taken him outside. So, when the Sumidera family pursuers reached the professor's house, there was no longer anyone there. According to the family, a young man and woman calling themselves Sumidera visited this morning, took the professor out with them, and still have not returned. There's a chance we are outmaneuvered. What a bad child, Angie-chan. I wonder if that craftiness is from Naison's blood. To think she'd casually take on the name of Sumidera after saying she'd hate to go by it so often. Oh, the professor should be returning soon. When he does, we must serve him some tea. Yes, understood. I wonder if she thinks she is leading me around by the nose. What a naughty child. Ho. With a demonic look on her face, Kasumi violently stamped her heel. Kasumi is a bad person. There's a lot of bad people in this story, though, granted. I'll teach you. About my magic of origins. No, I taught you before, right? And you used it before. Did you forget? You were also a witch apprentice, Angie, with your name entered into marriage sorcery, weren't you? I was also included among the witches, wasn't I? I closed Maria's diary and popped down on a very high-class looking bed. I slept deeply for a long time in the car, so it took longer than usual for drowsiness to set in, and I read the diary as I waited. This was a super expensive hotel in the city. Since it was often used by the rich and the famous, they were very big on confidentiality. That made it very convenient for Angie to escape pursuers. The idea that renegades should spend their nights hiding in cheap hotels is a commoner's way of thinking. To Angie, who possessed all the wealth of the Ushimita family, renegade life was comfortable indeed. Of course, even though he was a guard, Amakusa was a man and therefore in a separate room. Angie used the bedroom of the suite, and Amakusa lay on the sofa in the living room. According to Amakusa, the sofas here were even more pleasant than his own beds had been recently. Poor guy. Kawaii-so-ne. When I looked at the clock, I saw that it was almost 2 in the middle of the night. I'm still not getting sleepy. I sighed deeply. At that time, even though there was no wind, I had the feeling that Mario Onechan's diary fluttered. Then, Onechan appeared. Her form was no longer the normal one I'd known. She was wearing the dress that Beatrice had given her after acknowledging her as a witch. If you don't get some sleep, it'll be tough tomorrow, right? If I were a witch too, I'd be able to use magic, wouldn't I? Yeah, you can use it. I taught you, didn't I? Taught you how to use it. And you were able to use it in the past, weren't you? I remember. I've started wanting to use it. Are you starting to feel lonely? Not really. It's not like having a different pillow every night is that tough. The first step to magic can be loneliness or boredom, even small reasons like that. Throat's cloggy. Even if it's just trying to kill time so you can fall asleep? Yeah, I'm glad you remembered about magic one more time. It's been quite a long time since I last used magic. At one point, with Mario Onechan's introduction, I touched a corner of it and opened the door a tiny bit. So, I should still remember that sensation. Right now, your magical powers decline significantly, Angie. If you don't devote yourself to the basics, it'll be hard, okay? Sure. Checking all directions, securing a quiet space. What about Amakusa-san? He's sleeping. After opening the door to the living room a crack, I could see the blanket caterpillar and the sofa roll over in its sleep. With your magical strength as weak as it is now, the anti-magic powers are affecting you too much. Not just the sight of people, but voices, sounds, and even the presence of people will get in the way of your magic. Sever those completely. Like how ancient magicians set themselves up in ateliers to reserve their isolation. I remember, the very existence of humans blocks magic. Therefore, the very act of showing magic to people is the sign of a high-level witch. Obtain a quiet space for yourself alone. That should be enough to prepare a space to use magic. Next is the vessel. Right now, it's important for your bike to have at least training wheels. No, a chain. This is, of course, impossible. Angie rubbed her own head. She wore hair accessories there with pink gems attached. They felt a little childish for Angie, but she never took them off, not even for a single day. Yeah, it really will be impossible for you now, Angie. If you'd practiced every single day since then, you might have gained the ability to summon with that by now. If I were to start training now, how long would it take? It's said that a year of magical training for a child is worth 10 years for an old person. You need a lot of determination. You mean like Ushimina Kinzo? So just like the piano and the violin, getting special education from a young age is huge when it comes to magic. As you are now, your power is weakened since the time you were first able to use magic, Angie. Don't overdo it, and devote yourself to the basics. After stubbornly rubbing those things on my head one more time, I gave up. Then I started fishing through the knapsack, looking for anything that might make a good vessel. Shouldn't this be a perfect vessel? It's been a long time. Yes. With this, I think even you should be able to perform a summons as you are now. They have no master now. It should be possible for you to become their new master, Angie. In just a minute and I'll be right back and continue. Let's continue. Chapter 4 has a hell of a lot of build-up. I guess 2 is the same way, though, to be fair. Among the things that looked like good vessels, I took the one I thought might possess the strongest magical power, and set it on the side table near the bed with a clatter. It was a shady-looking, stake-shaped weapon with an occult design inscribed on it. It was one of the 7 stakes of purgatory, which the witch used to offer sacrifices. These should sound familiar. When the police had been searching the family's possessions, they had collected a large amount of junk. After all, we've actually already seen the stakes last time. They showed up in 3, I believe, for the first time, right? I guess they're not in here right now, though, but they were at one point. After the investigation finished, these had been politely returned to the Ushimina family. Finding something that I'd seen in the pictures of Moria's diary, I took it home with me. Originally, there were 7 stakes of purgatory. How pitiful. Now she's the only one left. Oni-chan smiled, looking lonely. I pulled another book out of the knapsack. This also was old-fashioned, and you could tell that it was an occult book just by looking. But its contents were plain. It was one of Mario Oni-chan's elaborate notebooks. This wasn't a diary. This was a grimoire, which she had written as a witch. The 7 stakes of purgatory are Beatrice's furniture, created by her and employed only for her sake. But since Beatrice is also a witch of marriage sorcery, they could be employed by Maria. They could be employed by Maria, a witch of the same alliance. For that reason, the method of summoning the 7 stakes of purgatory and how to handle them was written about in great detail in Mario Oni-chan's grimoire. And, as another person with their name registered in that alliance, I was also permitted to employ them. Which of the 7 sisters is this stake? Their characteristics are written about well in my grimoire. The sisters of the 7 stakes really hate it when you get their names wrong. Remember their names well before summoning them. A packed page told the 7 stakes of purgatory. I described the 7 sisters in great detail. I love this new mic because, like this HyperX brand one or whatever, you can like tap the top of it. Mutes it. It mutes it and unmutes it. I say while muting it so you could hear half my sentence. But yeah, you get the gist. It's got like a light so you can tell. It's really nice. Yes, I think I memorized almost this entire page once in the past. The more I read it, the more I start to remember. By the pictures and characteristics written in the grimoire, I could tell that the stake in my hand was Memmon's stake. In the past, I haven't had any stakes, so I'd summoned them without any vessel. So this was the first time I'd clearly seen any of the 7 stakes, let alone Memmon. Memmon, the 5th sister, controls the deadly sin of greed, an incredible kid. Greed also controls aspirations, the desire to improve oneself, and the strength to live. It definitely doesn't mean only bad things. She's rude, but she's a girl who tries really hard. I see. You could say that without desire, there's no reason to live. For a while, I hid my concentration and digested the information that was written about Memmon. The more the summoner knows about the target that's being summoned, the better. Knowledge is connected to magical power. I began to fill my head with knowledge about Memmon, raising a necessary amount of magical power for a summoning. Grimoires can be a bit interesting. This might be a much better read than some lame novel. It really takes me back. For a grimoire, it's demanded not only that you understand the letters, but that you fill up the world of space between the lines, giving birth to a world from the pictures and creating things in various ways. The power to give birth to something. For someone who has that, such as you, a grimoire should be more interesting than any book. I've always known that you'd be able to understand that. That should be enough knowledge of Mammon for now. Yes, I remembered it, more or less. I'll give it a try. Take care. In case the worst happens, here's my talisman. The Treaty of the Alliance won't protect you right now. That Mammon is a bit of a quick trigger, and she may still bear a grudge. Be careful. Yes, I'll wear it. The 7 stakes of purgatory, as furniture used to make sacrifices for a ceremony, were treated as beings inferior to weapons. But that was only when compared to other demons. To humans, furniture is something to be feared. I fished through the knapsack again, took out a bracelet charm with a scorpion medal that I'd gotten from Mario H long ago, and put it on my arm. It's got a ton of those things, I guess. In the past, I hadn't needed something like this, but I need insurance. It's okay. That's already been fitted with the required amount of magical defense. As long as you wear that, you'll definitely be fine. Mario Oni-chan's magic power, which had been specially put into this charm, had been enough to earn even Beatrice's admiration. While it may have looked like something cheap to a human who couldn't understand magic, its magical worth was incalculable. Come, arise, forgive the sin. One of the 7 stakes of purgatory, Mammon of Greed. I focused my mind. I made a magic-repelling toxin that filled my body 0. Imagine an untainted vast space. Without some common sense, I'll resist magic. Make the resistance 0 and erase the burden on the magical power. Inside my head was the image of a vast space. It was a nighttime world where I floated in the air and the neon stars over the ground sparkled. A world where the stars that should have covered the sky were wiped away by the light from below that covered the ground. In the world of a vast night sky with no obstructions, I imagine the wind blowing through at will. At that time, in a room where there shouldn't have been any wind, a free nighttime wind kicked up a cyclone. The long-forgotten sensation raced through my entire body. It was the unique feeling of exultation that comes from using magic. The diamond stake, which I had held out in my hand, gradually began to make me feel pale and light. A twisting cyclone with a stake at the center. The hefty stake floated a bit into the air. Wonderful. Looks like the gap in your training hasn't stolen your talent. Come, arise, forgive the sin. One of the 7 stakes of purgatory, Mammon of Greed. Show yourself to me. After I raised my hands bit by bit, lifting them higher than my head, as though it was being attracted upwards, Mammon's stake once again floated up high into the air and gradually began to shake. That shaking began to grow faster, and it burst. With a speed faster than the eye could follow, it flew around, violently rebounding off the walls in the room. The terrible sound of it dancing around threatened to make me flinch. However, I must not lose my mental concentration. Then, the stake, which had been flying around at an incredible speed, finally stopped and faced me. It was in the air, just a few centimeters away from my forehead, and held back by the defensive barrier created by the scorpion charm. It had tried to break the defensive barrier, eating into it with incredible power, but Mario and H-Chan's barrier wouldn't be broken so easily. It's no use. I can't break it. The stake muttered hatefully. It was probably safe to say that the scorpion charm saved me. Without that, my attempt at killing time until I got sleepy would have killed my time for all eternity. Imagine being bored and not being able to sleep, so you just decide to summon demons. And now Mammon's part of the story too. When Mammon's stake realized that it wasn't able to gouge me, it gave up and grew docile, changing its form from that of a stake into a human. In that same old outfit that I'd never be able to walk around inside in. Outside in. Although you could say it suited her in a demonic sort of way. Is that Anji-sama? But the magical power's pretty shabby. You really Anji-sama? It's been a long time, Mammon. Have you been well? And here I was convinced that furniture that's already fulfilled its function just gets left to rest away in a closet. So, what kind of sideshow is this? You aren't gonna say that you're my owner, are you? Yes, Angie is your master. Lady Maria, think slightly of me. Was that barrier just now yours? Yes, I thought that, as she is now, Angie might just have gotten finished off by you. I went to her talisman. If Lady Maria says Anji-sama is my master, I cannot refuse. Anji-sama, please, your orders. If it's me you need, are you going to perform a new ceremony? With new sacrifices? Of course, that's only if you're willing to handle me yourself and get your own hands dirty. That role isn't something I'm asking for anymore. All you have to do is talk with me like you used to. Heh. Yes, if that's what you desire. Furniture is furniture because it is used. It is an honor just to be summoned. Anji-sama. Mammon had a slightly complicated smile on her face. She accepted her new master because Maria had told her to, but it looked like she hadn't gotten over her discontent at working for Angie with her frail magical power. Perhaps she had some other reason for hating Angie, but for now, it seemed that she couldn't disobey, even if she wasn't happy about it. So, what should I do? I don't know. Just do something lively, like old times. Well now, this liveliness you're talking about is probably from when we sisters were all together. It may be difficult by myself. Did you forget? That's right. The 7 sisters were really lively when they got together. But with Angie's magical power now, I think summoning just Mammon is the best we can hope for. The stakes for the other 6 have been lost. My apologies, Lady Maria, but maybe it would be possible to summon the 7 sisters via my own stake. If I am to be used, I'd hope Anji-sama has at least that much power, right? Mammon grinned. Apparently, she wanted me to summon the other sisters without a vessel. I see. Since she's unable to satisfy herself with being summoned alone, she's asking for the other sisters to be summoned as well. I get it. Agreed. Yes, she was like this back then, wasn't she? The furniture, the times during which they are used, are bliss. No matter how badly they're exploited, being used is furniture's joy. On the contrary, regardless of how nice you are to them, Not being given a job is more painful than anything in their eyes. We haven't spoken in a challenging way, but she wanted me to summon the other sisters somehow and rescue them from the world of nothingness. If that's the case, all she's got to do is say so. These demon people can never just say what they mean. Angie, don't overdo it. You'll need plenty of rehabilitation just from summoning Mammon. Oh, I'll need to rehabilitate after just one? Well, I'm just killing time anyway. Okay, Mammon. I've gone this far. I'll call as many as I can. Really? Not bad, Anji-sama. Okay, quickly. Apparently, even though she'd asked, no one hadn't really expected Angie to do this. She hopped around, badgering Angie to summon the other sisters. Summoning Mammon alone consumed a considerable amount of physical and magical power. It'll probably be pretty tough to do 6 more. I'm awed by the magical power of those who can summon sisters like this at will with a snap of their fingers, and who therefore reach the level where they can be called witches. Mammon, don't make Angie overdo it. She still isn't at her best. What? Angie-sama said she summoned everyone. Actually, I only said I'd call as many as I could. I guess that's greed for you. Don't overdo it, Angie. You should rest for today. You're tired enough. It's okay. I'm just killing time anyway. Let me get tired enough that I can just fall over asleep. This time, there's no vessel. I'll have to strengthen the image from my knowledge of the grimoire and materialize them with just that. I held my hands out into the air, replaying in my head this sensation from when I'd summoned Mammon. I'm acquainted with all of the 7 sisters, right? I've got to remember that time, long ago, when I talked with them. Once again, the power of magic began to fill me up. It let off a faint, and yet distinct pale light from both of my hands. Thankfully this is a visual novel and not like an actual game, otherwise this is probably where the player would be quizzed on the 7 sisters. And God knows I don't remember. Anji-sama. Hold on. Good luck. Hey, Lady Maria. Anji-sama's definitely gonna summon everyone, right? The 7 sisters will get to be reunited again, right? Right? Yeah, definitely. But there's no guarantee that it'll happen tonight. Anji-sama can do it. Please, Anji-sama. Start with the youngest sister, Asmodeus, the 7th sister. Got it. I'll call them in order starting from the youngest. A strand of hot sweat dripped down from my forehead. This really is going to be one hell of a burden to carry. The pale light in the space began to slowly form into the outline of a girl. Come, arise, one of the 7 stakes of purgatory, Asmodeus Oblast. This is the power everyone on the internet wants. There was no vessel. However, as I held a strong conviction that she definitely did exist there as a core, her form began to crystallize. Her outline became distinct. In the form of the youngest of the 7 sisters, Asmodeus was finally created. There she is. Asmodeus Oblast, right here. Where is this? Am I alive? Asmo, I'm so glad. I'm on Nezon. Where in the world is this? Who summoned me? Anji-sama did. Anji-sama said she'd revive all of us. No, I didn't. Anji-sama, thank you. Do bells next, please. Beelzebub, the 6th sister. Beelzebub of Gluttony. Come, arise. At this rate, I wonder how many I'll be able to summon. If I can't focus, this is probably it. I don't think it's going to go through all of them one by one. I hope not. The pale light met an outline and formed into Beelzebub. Beelzebub of Gluttony, right here. Bells, Anji-sama, you're amazing, incredible. Mammon and Asmodeus jumped onto Beelzebub, celebrating their reunion. I summoned 3 people at once. My head was throbbing. Gotta summon the next one without stopping for a break. Come, arise. The 7 stakes, Belphegor of Sloth. We are gonna keep going now. Belphegor of Sloth, right here. To think that I would be needed again. Belphegor, I'm hungry. I'm so glad to see you again. To think that the 7 sisters will be able to meet again. Anji-sama, thank you so much. Keep it up and do Satan Nay next, and Livia Nay and Lucy Nay. Yeah, I get it. So please try not to be so loud. Doing 4 people at the same time is pretty tough. Anji, don't overdo it any more than this. You did a good job of summoning even 4 of them after such a long time. Stop it, Mammon. Right now, Anji-sama is being pressured with the burden of summoning us. Anji-sama, I beg that you do not strain yourself too much. No way. Anji-sama promised. She said we'd all play together again. No, Right? Anji-sama? You said everyone would meet again. You promised that we'd meet again right away. That's right, I promised. No, you didn't. I didn't promise anything about when, but I certainly did promise. So keep that promise. If you don't, I'll never forgive you for forgetting it until today, Haji-sama. Come, arise. One of the 7 stakes of purgatory, safe in a wrath. My mind's getting hazy, but I'll call. Even though I'd forgotten about those days. Even though I've never thought of that time as anything but sad and lonely. Because the short time I spent with them was fun, without a doubt. I don't really know what she's talking about there quite yet, but it'll come up. Seats in a breath, right here. What the hell are you people doing? Don't you realize how much it's burdening on Anji-sama just to have an idle chat? Just to let us have an idle chat. Satan, who had apparently figured out the situation immediately after being summoned, cried out in a loud voice, telling her sisters off. The loud voice made my consciousness hazy again. The reforeigners who have been granted rest by Beatrice and whose duty has been finished. Not only are you not honored at being given another chance to be of some use, but you're putting a burden on a new master, you disgraced all furniture. Erase yourselves right away. Yes, it's like Satan says. I'll erase myself. You'll erase yourselves too. In this moment, that's the best way for us to be of use to Anji-sama. No way. Not until everyone's summoned. Same here. I'm hungry. I mean, I'd hate to leave again so soon after being reunited with you all. Don't be so selfish. Come on, erase yourself quickly. Come on, Asmo. Disappear right now. Satan is bullying me. It's not fair if you always bully the youngest one. Yes, they really are lively. It doesn't bore me. That's enough. You've surpassed your limits for now, Angie. You're right. With 5 of them summoned and messing around as they pleased, the load was far too heavy for me, with the meager magical power I had at that moment. This is it. As my consciousness went hazy, I fell over onto the bed. I guess it worked. Fell asleep. I wish it was this easy. The beds always felt this soft. It seemed the sisters were still squabbling together as much as they liked. For a way to kill time until drowsiness comes to get me, this is enough. Feeling something warm and nostalgic in the sisters' liveliness, I sank into a world of deep sleep. At the entrance to my dream world, I felt Mario and Eichan, and Sakatoro waiting to receive me. You worked hard, and good job. Good you. Welcome back, Angie. Welcome back, huh? Then I should respond like this. I'm home. They're doing the trope. Not sure how much more of the Anji stuff is left. It's hard to say. I don't know if we'll get through it tonight or not. Probably not. That's right. Just once in the past, I underwent training in order to step into the world of witches. I accepted that the only power that could save me from those sad, painful days at St. Lucia Academy was the thing called magic, and I received Maria's introduction to the basics. Imagine a vast space. The scene from when I looked down at the mountain's base from a rest stop at the peak. Like this? So we're getting an anti-flashback further. I projected that scene from a memory into my mental world. Normal girls get over their fascination with magical girls when they leave elementary school. So seriously trying to use magic at this age was embarrassing even for me. But even that embarrassed feeling felt pleasant to me now. Right then, I was learning mental concentration from Mario and Eichan in order to use magic. But it wasn't going very well. It was about as hopeless as teaching a person to wiggle their ears by showing them. Yeah, I can't do that either. It seems that you need to imagine a vast space to gather the mental concentration to use magic. Can't wiggle my ears, nose, can't even whistle. But that's probably because I'm missing teeth. I've never really been able to. Can't snap my fingers either, and I don't even like the idea of it. Makes me think it's like cracking bones, even though that's not what it is, I don't think. And I don't like people like cracking their neck or fingers or anything like that. Grosses me out. So I remember the time from my younger days when my family had gone on a small vacation. When I looked down towards the base from a viewing platform at a rest stop on a peak, I tried painting this scene in my mental world. No, still far too small. Imagine a much, much wider space, and create your own mental world. Your image is still way too foggy. There's no temperature in the air, and there's no wind. No smells either. The world is still very faint. You can leave those for later, so for now, imagine an even wider space. What do you? Why do you have to imagine a vast space? From the time of their birth, humans have inside of them a toxin that blocks magic. If that toxin isn't purified, you can't use magic well. One effective method of achieving this is to imagine a vast space. Just now, I thought of the world as seen from the window of an airplane, but that didn't work. I can't even think of a world more vast than that. In that case, Moria just has to teach Angie about the vast world Moria has. Won't that make it easy for Angie to imagine as well? Would you? That's right. And I'm interested in the kind of world N-chan imagines when she uses magic. I'll use it for reference. That won't work. The mental world must be vast and isolated, a world with no obstructions other than yourself. So if you teach someone about that world, it won't be isolated anymore. That's why you mustn't reveal your mental world to anyone. And if you draw up a good mental world, you too must keep it as a secret only for yourself. Would you... So stingy, Maria. Thanks, Sakataro. She deserved that. I guess there are no shortcuts in trading. I'll make an effort. It's okay. I've been giving them plenty of hints. Would you? Do your best, Angie. Until recently, I thought there was no way something like magic could save me. After all, magic doesn't exist in this world. That kind of thing's supposedly nothing more than an illusion, a delusion, a daydream. However, Mario Nei-chan showed me that she could fill her own world with happiness using a power that's impossible for me. I used to look down on that happiness as something empty. Because I didn't believe in magic, I also denied everything else, refusing to believe in the happiness that magic gave birth to. But slowly, bit by bit, Mario Nei-chan's world grew happier. In the past, I disparaged it, thinking it was too pitiful to look at. But that might have been nothing more than jealousy. I was forced to admit that. And now, this was my first step in my search for happiness. A vast space. A dry wind that could blow without being blocked by anything. Let me feel that wind blowing through my own hair. I see. Even the ground might get in my way as I am now. Then, I don't need a ground. Brush the ground away. Downwards, downwards. Default Unity scene. That's all you need, Angie. Just start a new file, new project. You don't need the parking lot. In other words, it was as though I had floated up, leaving the ground far behind. After pushing the ground further and further downwards, the ground grew foggy and faint, and the first time, it began to feel like the sky. Then, I understood its vastness. In that instant, I felt the vivid wind go right through my body. Go right through even my body. In other words, blowing through me without any resistance. Yes, maintain that sensation. Yeah, I get it. I get that I've been released from all hindrances. You did it, Angie. You did it. You've taken your first step into the world of witches. This is the world of witches? Yeah. So let's try practicing the magic that you've always wished for, Angie. Magic that'll summon friends. A magic that'll create allies who will save you from your loneliness, and therefore bring you happiness. Make whatever you want of the fact that, like, Sakataro always speaks in these weird quotes. Will Angie also be able to summon friends like me? Who do you do? As she is now, it's still far too early for Angie to summon friends like Sakataro from the Sea of Zero. To begin, let's start by practicing with friends that are easy to summon. What will we start with? Because you're a witch of mirrored sorcery, you're also permitted to use those employed by other witches in the Alliance. For example, Sakataro is my friend, but since you're in the same alliance, he's your friend too, and you can summon him. You want to try summoning Sakataro one of these days? When you're so lonely it gets tough, I'm sure Sakataro will cheer you up. I see. You could call Sakataro being employed by One-chan. So, as a witch in the same alliance as her, it's possible for me to summon Sakataro too. I met Sakataro's gaze. How pleasant it would be to have him just be there by my pillow, so he could talk to me a bit on lonely nights. If I call out, will you appear and talk to me? Who do you? I can't wait to be summoned by you, Angie. Who do you? Looking happy, Sakataro pressed his head against me like a cat. Suddenly getting a cute younger brother felt a little confusing, a bit embarrassing, and a bit nice. Unable to understand why I couldn't honestly accept this feeling, I felt tears well up in my eyes. I really wanted a sibling as a kid too. But that did not happen. I was an only child. Right. Now I'll give it all I've got on One-chan. Then let's practice. Let's try summoning the furniture of Beatrice, a witch from the same alliance. Beatrice's furniture. Hearing Beatrice's name gave me a slightly strange feeling. When it came to the Kaima on Rakenjima, the public kept going on in a frenzy about how it was a sacrifice ceremony performed by a witch. And that witch was Beatrice. So, if the witch did commit that crime, that would make her the culprit who stole my family from me. However, Marione-chan said that Beatrice was a good witch. If I held negative emotions toward Beatrice, she'd get mad, leading to a nasty fight, and refuse to talk to me for a while. At this moment, One-chan was my only close friend. So, to avoid worsening her mood, I decided to think of Beatrice as nothing more than One-chan's magic teacher. Also, I believed that the crime was a conspiracy cooked up by Aunt Ava. I would definitely expose the truth about that someday. Angie, obstructions are entering your body again. Sorry, I lost my concentration. One more time. I'd expect no less from you, One-chan. You instantly noticed that I was being overcome with idle thoughts. After shaking my head just once, I reimagined the wind blowing through a vast space. The Seven Sisters of Purgatory? That's a pretty creepy name. But they're very energetic and fun kids. They might become your new friends, Auntie. First, I'll show you how to summon them. Watch. Mario-chan lifted both hands up to the level of her head and quietly unified her mind. The state I wasn't able to reach except by meditating for a long period of time, she reached in the span of a few quick breaths. Then, a pale light began to gather in her palms, and one by one, the girls began to show themselves. 1, 2, 3 people. 4, 5, 6, 7 people. The way they were summoned one after another in a line was a masterpiece. Incredible. Just like the illustrations in Umineko Grimoire, the Seven Sisters of Purgatory. The younger sisters were behind the eldest, Lucifer, who saluted Umineko. The Seven Sisters of Purgatory, right here. Lady Maria, it's been quite some time. Yes, long time no see. Is everyone well? We furniture are what we are because we are used. Thus, being summoned after so long is truly an honor. Yeah, Sakataro, it's been so long. You look as cute as ever. Me first. Yeah, today is so fluffy, squishy, and cute. Ah, let me hug him too. You can't breathe. I won't run away, so let go of me, everyone. Hey, you all. Are you trying to break Lady Maria's furniture? Anyway, get away from it. Hugging is prohibited. Even though you're saying that it looks like you want to hug him the most, Satan A. Heck. It's not like I have any interest in something so fluffy, squishy, and cuddly. So Satan's the tsundere one, I see. Hey. Being tsundere is one of the 7 deadly sins, don't you know? Be silent in the presence of Lady Maria and Anji-sama, you foolish sisters. They were so energetic. I was shocked by their sudden burst of activity right after they appeared. And on top of that, I was surprised that the innocent Sakataro was on such good terms with the 7 sisters. That's unexpected. To think that Sakataro would be so loved by such shady people. They're fellow members of the same alliance. It's nothing to be scared of, right? What are the off chance that their mood worsens? It looks like they could finish Sakataro off in an instant. It's alright. The witches of the alliance and their furniture are all friends. So Sakataro can play without worrying. Of course, that goes for you and me too, Angie. It was one of the pacts of marriage sorcery. Mutual non-aggression and non-interference. Member witches must respect each other with magic and creations. Even the sisters, who were normally shady and belligerent, treated fellow alliance members as friends. So to the 7 sisters, Sakataro was a mutual friend. They're moots. He was loved by all of them, and they were even trying to steal him away from each other. This scene as they squeezed him, and loved him was a bit charming. I see. They're fellow members of marriage sorcery, after all. At a glance, you'd think that Sakataro's casual atmosphere and the 7 sisters' shady one would be like water and oil. Looked like they definitely wouldn't be compatible, and yet they were interacting in a friendly way like it was completely natural. If this wonderful alliance could join all the peoples of the world together, I wonder if everyone in the world would be able to become friends right away. Everyone just needs to become witches and join marriage sorcery. Oh, I don't like those new sprites. Oh, yep, here they are. They're all in here now. I think it just picks a random one every time. Yeah, I keep getting the same one in a row sometimes even. All you 7 sisters, listen. Right now, Angie's in the middle of magic training, so I want everyone to lend their power. Certainly, Lady Maria. But what specifically? The magical power materializing you will move from me to Angie. In that state, I want you to be by her side all the time. You just have to talk with her. My apologies, but I wonder if Anji-sama's magical power will be able to easily summon all 7 of us around the clock. The oldest sister, the oldest sister Lucifer gazed at my complexion as she advised this, speaking reservedly. In other words, she was saying that the burden might be too heavy for me at this point in time. That's the kind of training it is. Anji has more talent in magic than everyone imagines. It'll be pretty tough, but I think it's worth it for Anji to take this challenge as she is now. Anji, starting now, I'll move the magic power materializing them over to you. In other words, it'll become as though you would summon them. So what Mario-chan was trying to say is something like this. To keep the 7 sisters materialized, they were continuously burdened with a significant amount of magical power. Yeah, it drains their mana, that's normal. Maybe you could say it was like training while wearing a weighted wristband. What do you? Doing all the 7 sisters would be pretty tough. Probably. It probably would be. I don't think I have that kind of stamina myself. Isn't that asking a lot of Angie all of a sudden? Thank you, Sakataro. But this is training to become a witch. I want to see how far I can go. The 7 of them certainly do seem boisterous. But even if this is for training, Having them with me will surely distract me from my loneliness, at least a little. I understood it would be an ordeal, but wanting to give it a shot. Don't overdo it if it gets tough, okay? And everyone, if it looks tough for Angie, take it easy. Certainly. Get it, everyone? Yeah, Sone-sama. Well then, Angie-sama. For now, we the Seven Sisters of Purgatory. The Seven Sisters of Purgatory will become your furniture. Lady Maria, if you would. Yeah. So, Angie, can we start? Sure. I'm a little nervous. Who do you? This might be tough all of a sudden. If you feel like you're getting a headache, lower your magic power immediately. Okay, I'll move the source of magic power over to Angie. I'll wrap up after the scene and swap over to Cud. Before I run my lips permanently dry. In an instant, the inside of my head felt very heavy. Yeah, it's tough. Until then, the inside of my head had only been used for myself. It was almost like it was now being used for 7 other people. If they just stood there and blinked once, or let out a single sigh, it would put a strong pressure on my head. Lady Maria, my apologies, but perhaps the burden from all 7 sisters at once might be too great after all. I'm okay. Heck. No, it won't work after all. You're using all of your energy to materialize them. There's no point to the burden is such that you can't balance it with your everyday life. Anyway, this is a bit unrefined for a witch. Who do you? That's why I said doing so many suddenly was impossible. Everyone, erase yourselves for a bit. Right. It seems it'd be better to lower the number of people. So, we'll erase ourselves in Minecraft. Asmo, erase yourself. Me again? I'm opposed to youngest sister bullying. Disappear starting from the top every once in a while. That would mean I'd have to disappear second, right? No, no, no. Don't make a ruckus, Asmo and Liviane. That kind of disturbance will become a burden to Anji-san. The noise you're making is also a burden, stupid Satan. Eek. The 7 sisters started arguing over who should erase themselves first. The energy from that fight all became a burden, forcing Angie to bear an even greater headache. Interesting that summoners can't just choose to, like, unsummon something. They have to unsummon themselves, apparently. In the end, they decided the order with rock, paper, scissors, and 1, 2, 3 of them disappeared. But even at that level, Angie was still far from comfortable. In the end, when 6 of them had erased themselves, I was finally able to calm my breathing. With my magical power, forget the 7 sisters, just 1 person is my limit. A good place to start. Sheesh, this way it's not the 7 sisters, but just me, right? You're a bit unreliable, Anji-sama. Mammon, who had won all the rock, paper, scissors matches and was permitted to remain until the end, grumbled. Udiyu, Mammon, you should say things like that. Angie is still just starting her training. Are you alright, Angie? Is your headache okay? Sakataro stretched up on his tiptoes, trying to pat Angie's head. Watching this, Maria scratched her head, acknowledging that the sudden training had been too difficult. Ooh, maybe that was a little too much. I'd be perfectly fine with this much, though. The more friends you have, the more fun it is. Yeah, I'm even more aware of how incredible you are, Ane-chan. Apparently, when one reaches Maria Ane-chan's class, one can summon enough people to perform in an orchestra. For a witch apprentice, that's awe-inspiring. Are you okay? Anji-sama? I'm sorry. It looks like summoning you is the most I can do. Well, I guess I'm okay with that. After all, of all the 7 sisters, I get Anji-sama all to myself. What do you think, Anji-sama? If it's just me, will it be a burden for you? No, I think I'll be able to manage you alone, somehow. Great. Then please train a lot and cultivate your magic power bunch. Then someday, for sure, please bring the 7 sisters together and let us serve you. Promise? After confirming that, for the time being, her own materialization wasn't causing any issues, Mammon immediately became teary again and tried to make me promise to work harder. I see, that definitely fits with her being greedy. But maybe you could also call it having a positive attitude. Yes, I promise. I have to be able to do at least that much someday. Thank you, Anji-sama. I, Mammon of Greed, will surely serve you until that day. My headache finally abated, and I relaxed both hands, which had been clutching at my head. Then Mammon stuck at her hand. I'll make me stand back up. Would you? Ah, Maria, Angie, it's about that time. If we don't return to the room, you'll be scolded. The room. School classroom, I believe. Huh? Oh, I didn't expect Sakataro to talk about the time. I was brought back into reality. Yeah, she's in the bathroom, I think. As though the light had disappeared, the vast world sunk into the darkness, and I was in a tiny, tiny bathroom stall, sitting on a toilet. One-chan's grimoire was open on my lap. I looked at the clock. It was almost 8 p.m. Time for lights out. Right, she lives at the door at the school. If I show up late for the roll call before lights out, not only will things get pretty annoying, but it'll cause trouble for my roommates and floor mates. I couldn't care less about causing them trouble, but I don't want them messing with me later. My pre-time all by myself is already over for today. I'll sleep, wake up, tomorrow will begin, and another long gray-colored day will repeat again. I closed the grimoire and rose from the toilet seat. At that time, Oni-chan just appeared again and spoke. Hey Angie, you're forgetting your training. Take Mammon with you. I'd forgotten. The moment I'd returned to reality, Mammon's materialization had stopped. One more time, it created a strong image of the existence of Mammon in my mind. In the toilet stall with me. Jeez, you're so mean, Oji-sama. Why'd you erase me so suddenly? At this rate, you'll be able to call 7 sisters easily. I'm sorry, I got careless. It's been incredibly long since I'm materialized in the human world, so I'm interested in absolutely everything. I'm getting a bit excited. Where is this? The St. Lucia Academy dormitory. This is a stall in the shared bathroom. Each room has its own bathroom, so no one comes here. It's quiet and perfect for reading books. So in this dorm, you have to hide in a toilet stall even to read a book? Do they burn books or something? I have a 2-person room, so my roommate is always there. Our relationship is gloomy and it feels like I'm always getting ignored. Well, that's perfect. She'll ignore you. Just pretend she's not there. I get it though. I can get why that would be stressful to be around. The atmosphere's bad, so I really can't relax there. And as long as I'm not there, she can do whatever she likes, call her friends over and jet away. It's more convenient for them too if I don't return until just before lights out. There's also a library, but there's a group that uses it at a meeting place, and they're always talking behind my back. So I don't like to go there. During lunch, it's the bushes behind the school building. During the night, it's the stall in the shared bathroom in the dorms. Those are the only hideaways where I can find peace. I opened the door to the stall and went out. I turned around, signaling with my eyes for Mama to come with me. I don't really get it, but I realize it'd be hard to call this place pleasant for you, Angie-sama. Let's go out quickly. I hate the air here. It is a bathroom. Really? I think the air here is the most decent. Angie, it's a bathroom. When I left the bathroom and entered the corridor, because it was near lights out time, several kids who had gone to play in other rooms were dashing back to their own. When it came time for lights out, we had to change into uniform pajamas that we hated and called prison clothes, line up in the hallway, and go through the dorm leader's roll call. On the off chance that someone was late, we would take collective responsibility, and all of the floor mates would have to undergo punishment in the form of volunteer work. As long as I avoided this, the girls would look at me coldly, but they wouldn't get in my way. That alone was enough for me. Mama looked at the passing kids and the furnishings of the dorm with interest. Without paying her any particular attention, I hurried back to my room. In front of my room was my roommate, who'd already changed into her prison clothes, chatting with some kids from the room next door. When they noticed me hurrying back, the topic of their conversation noticeably changed. They lowered their voices, stealing glances at me. I acted like I didn't notice, went to my room, and changed. Then I hastily went out into the corridor. The others don't even get, names. The other students aren't really relevant. Everyone was already lined up. Hey, this is weird. I thought this was a school for rich girls. It's like a prison. It's stupid. You think so too? That's what I think. And unlike prison, you don't get out early for good behavior. After bad-mouthing the place, I noticed something. Having someone to listen to your complaints feels surprisingly good. Fortunately, Mom and Swarm can only be seen by their summoner, me. And of course, there was no need to speak out loud for this conversation. All I had to do was speak inside my mind, so no one could listen in. Magic and the friends it creates might actually not be so bad. All these people are sheltered brats. It was like they aren't even alive. Yahaha. Stop it. If you're seen by some chance, it'll be pretty bad, right? Humans without a fragment of hopes or dreams are like a lump of anti-magic. There's no way they'll be able to see me. Ha, you lower life forms can't even see. Are you okay being around so many humans with that magic-resisting toxin? I'm fine as long as you continue to make me materialize, Angie-sama. Although, since you'll probably have to keep concentrating to materialize me, there's a chance you'll neglect your daily life. Look, that girl you're sharing a room with is calling you, right? Huh? Oh. Yoshimine-san, are you listening? About our weekly duties starting next week? She's probably trying to push a few more chores onto me. My roommate, who never even looked me in the eye normally, was smiling at me unpleasantly. But it'll be easier to have the weekly duty pushed onto me alone, rather than doing it together with her. That's a small price to pay to have her continue to ignore me nonstop. Even so, with a completely shameless excuse, she sidestepped the issue for some reason, and insisted on flipping the situation around, as though I should have come forward and done it of my own initiative. One of the special traits of this academy is that it's full of girls who don't know how to ask a favor. That kid. She pisses me off. I'll have to just gouge her right in the forehead. Yeah, I hope you do one of these days. Yeah, having a friend nearby all the time to complain to makes me happier than I thought it would. It really was lively with all the 7 sisters gathered together. I'm sure just watching them mess around will be a lot of fun. I want to get enough magical power to summon all the 7 sisters at once, and soon. So I'll train much, much more, and finally summon the thing I really want to find. What does he really want to summon, Anji-sama? Mema noticed my conversation with myself inside my head and asked about it blankly. Bahamut. I want to summon Bahamut. He's really cool. I hesitated to talk about it, but then figured that there was no reason to hide it and told her. My family. Dad. Mom. Oni-chan. So you mean the souls of the dead? Calling a resident of another world is summoning, but calling back the souls of the dead is called resurrection, and they're completely different. Resurrection is supposed to be a very high-level magic. I know. So much so that even Mario and Chan can't do it at all. But that's the thing I want to find with magic the most. I've been warned that it's a very difficult high-level magic. So great that, in the worst case, I might not necessarily reach that point even after training for my whole life. Furthermore, I have no vessel. A vessel is vital for making magic succeed, whether it's summoning or resurrection. Because I don't have that, a magic that would already have been difficult is now hopeless. Look, you're gonna get out of here, you're gonna be rich. You could get some bodies, I'm sure. You find a way. That's right. I have nothing to remember Dad or Mom by. However, by an extraordinary coincidence, I do have something to remember just Oni-chan by. I guess she doesn't mean bodies, she means, like, stuff that they owned or something. That hair ancestor with the pink jewel? What the hell? I hate to say it, but it looks a little cheap for you, Anji-sama. Long ago, without telling Dad, I went with Mom to meet Oni-chan, and we went to play at an amusement park. This is a prize from the crane game there. I know it's cheap, realize that it doesn't match my style, and I get that it's too childish. But this hair accessory is the only thing that makes me feel as though Balor Oni-chan is by my side. I'm going to see Balor today. But at least we hear his name once or twice. Alright, this is as good of a place to wrap up Umineko as any, I think. So let me do so.